Hello and welcome to this week's episode of CBTV. This week, Julia Gillard said she had no plans to cut school funding as her government looks at changing school funding methods. But how can we believe her promise? Remember, she promised there would be no carbon tax. She promised that she wouldn't challenge Kevin Rudd. She promised not to change the private health insurance rebate. And then she broke all those promises and many more. Now she wants us to trust her on this latest commitment. But the question remains, how can anyone rely on anything we're told by Julia Gillard and her government? A government that has repeatedly won gold medals for mismanagement. Now last December, the government was given the report of the Gonski review on school funding. After more than 8 months, we're still waiting for an official response. That response was meant to be delivered this week, but in typical Labor fashion, they've delayed it yet again. Couple this with the modelling that was leaked over the weekend, and we have another potential Labor disaster on our hands. The leaked modelling highlighted that if the Gonski review recommendations were actually implemented, over a third of Australia's schools would be worse off. That's over 3,000 government, Catholic and independent schools. And here's the kicker. The government has known about this for months. Now, rather than taking a common sense approach to the issue, what did the Prime Minister do? Firstly, she tried to spin her way out of it, refusing to release the modelling about the financial impacts of the Gonski review. And then when that didn't work, she tried to blame Tony Abbott. Julia Gillard is the political leader that has a plan to cut school funding, while the Coalition is steadfast in its support of quality education for all students. But let me leave you with this thought on the wisdom of our Prime Minister. She's asking Australians to trust Peter Garrett with changing funding methods for over 9,000 schools. Remember, Peter Garrett couldn't put pink bats in people's roofs without incident and tragedy. How can we trust him to successfully reform the funding of every school in the country? It's all about trust. And quite frankly, this government has given the Australian people no reason to trust them with the running of our great nation. This is Cory Bernardi. You're watching CBTV.